Now by now you've probably identified your favorite cryptocurrencies, but timing is absolutely everything in crypto. It isn't just what you buy, but it's when you buy it and when you sell it. Right now there's an absolutely major shift happening within the crypto markets themselves, and your favorite coins, the likes of Hbar, Jasmy, Quant, are eking to break towards the upside. But what is stopping them? Why hasn't it already happened? And when do we think that will start to happen? Well, behind these doors lays all the secrets to what really goes on behind the scenes of a crypto bull market, and how we can identify when those key tokens that we've just talked about are gonna start to break towards the upside. And if you want me to open these doors and explain everything to you in great detail, well, do me a favor, hit that like button, and we can start our journey to finding out a little bit more about what is going on for all of these tokens right now. Now, in this video that I made yesterday, I talked a little bit about where the cycles are heading within cryptocurrency, and I also talked about how to find amazing altcoins time and time again using a very cool tool. So check that out after this video. I'll link it at the very end. First of all, I want to talk about this diagram. I shared this diagram yesterday because it explains something very important. It talks about different phases of the crypto market, and we'll jump into the charts slightly later on. And right now you can see at the top we've got phase one, which is obviously the Bitcoin phase, where we see Bitcoin booming towards the upside. Everyone calling it false hope. Everyone's saying that Bitcoin is still in a bear market. People are still scared, and rightly so. They probably got punished pretty heavily during the bear market. But this is not a game for the faint-hearted. So those who have been purchasing Bitcoin down at around 15K, probably feeling pretty good about themselves right now. They're probably not thinking that we're going to return back to 10K. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Once we get the pump from Bitcoin, then we start to see a pump from Ethereum and the other larger market cap coins. And this is a little bit more of a clue on how we can go and find out more about when the likes of Jasmy and Hbar, Algorand, and whatever else it is that you've got that you're holding within sort of the top 50 or so cryptocurrencies. And for the purposes of what we're talking about today, I want to show you a Bitcoin chart, but I don't want to talk about what's happening on Bitcoin right this second until later on in the video, when we'll start to find out more information about when we can expect our favorite alts to start to move. Well, guys, what we can see in the last bull market is what Bitcoin basically did. And the Bitcoin bull market, or the bull market in general for cryptocurrency, goes through 4 different phases. Now, what you would have had down here was basically the accumulation of the smart money that's happening in Bitcoin. And that's roughly where I think we are right now. Now, because crypto is a speculative investment, the least of the speculative investments is Bitcoin, because it's the original, it's the most heavily invested in, and everybody knows it. So we know that Bitcoin is more than likely going to take its rallies much before the rest of the crypto market. So this is moving into phase 1. For me, is the equivalent of what happened back in November. This was the COVID dump, okay? But we saw the FTX dump happen back in November. And that was when nobody wanted to be buying Bitcoin. Everyone was like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to like 4K, 3K, whatever. That's when in the last bear market, the smart money was accumulating. If you were smart, you were probably buying Bitcoin back in November, December this year, where you could have been able to pick up Bitcoin for around 15 grand. We then start to move into this uncertainty phase, which would have been, in the January of this year, where people are saying, well, this is not really a rally. We're still going to just turn over and roll over. And you start to see a pump. The pump comes, and you're seeing right now Bitcoin rallying towards the upside. And this is right now. We've seen Bitcoin do basically 76% in just the first 2 months of this year. But that's nothing. I want you to see what basically would have happened in this rally where we saw 294%. Now at this point, Bitcoin's rallying, you then start to see Ethereum and stuff start to rally. And this would have happened in this area here where Bitcoin starts to cool off. Because what happens is that people who have made tons of cash in Bitcoin will start to siphon that money off. And they will siphon it into coins that are yet to pump. But they don't want to go and buy the Pepes and the Doges and the whatever else just yet. They want to start to move their money into the larger cap altcoins that they have been studying very hard. I'm talking the likes of Hbar, I'm talking the likes of Quant, I'm talking the likes of Solana and various others that sit in that magical area of lower risk but massive potential reward. Obviously that's not financial advice, guys. There's still risk involved, even if you think Hbar is going to make you a millionaire. So be careful. What we will basically see once we see that Bitcoin pump finish is a rally in the rest. Now this for me is phase 2 of the market. Okay, Bitcoin's rallying. We then start to see Ethereum rallying, and then this little bit of a pullback happens. Now, you will see that during the bull market, various different phases of the bull market unfold. Now, this would have been the Bitcoin bull market, and this is where everyone who was smart enough to buy the bottom starts to sell, and all the people stupid enough not to buy at the start, thinking, yeah, this is not really a full-blown bull market, get a pullback, and they think I'm going to go in now, and then it pulls back and rips on them. They get stuck in here, right? They are in the hurt locker. And down here, the people who have made tons of money during this period of time in the likes of, in various other altcoins, I'm talking like the Cardanos and whatever else, are now sitting pretty. Now what they'll do from that is they'll move their money back from Ethereum and everything else into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin becomes the safe haven for them. Because at this point, Bitcoin is down 48-50%. So they get Bitcoin at a discount, and now they've made tons more money than they even started with. This is why it's so dumb when someone's like, I'm going to buy this and hold it for the next 10 years. Why would you do that when there's so much opportunity? And you've even got the time to write a comment on a video saying that you're just going to hold it for the next 10 years. I mean, bless you for driving my YouTube algorithm, but guys, there's more to life, right? You're in crypto because there's good opportunities towards the upside. If you're just in it for like one-time purchase and sit for 10 years, fine. But, don't watch YouTube videos about crypto. Go and do something else. And then just, relax, do whatever. Anyway, back to the point. Bitcoin will then do one of two scenarios. It will go into a bear market, but obviously it didn't. It went into another phase of the bull market. And then this is basically a degen season where you get people buying like JPEG rocks, like I talked about yesterday, for like $608,000. Something crazy like that. And then you get stuck into this bear market where everyone's like, yeah, it's going to peak again. And then bang, see you later. Everyone gets wrecked. The world is full of pain. And if you are sensible enough, you'll be taking profits along the way. And if you are subscribed to my channel, you will learn to do this as we go forward. And if you are in my Telegram, which is linked down below as well, I'm going to help you to navigate your way around this. But throughout various phases of this, we have opportunities to make massive cash. And if you were smart and earlier on this year, you were buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and you saw good gains and you took profits, well, now you're probably looking for great opportunities. So let's flick to present day Bitcoin, Ethereum, and see where we are and see where we get the opportunity to buy our Jasmys, our Hbars, our Quants, our ICPs, our Algorands. I'm just going to show you a few charts and they will basically fit into the same category. I know I said top 50. I know Jasmy is not top 50. These are still, though, large cap altcoins with good following, good quality products that are going to see good quality utility. I think are going to see great growth. So how do I identify when Bitcoin is starting to slow down? And as I mentioned, this happens over and over again during a bull market. So even if Bitcoin goes to 100K, it's going to have pullbacks. When we get those pullbacks, that's when we get those little altcoin seasons creeping in. And then we can identify where that happens. Now, Bitcoin right now is in a very interesting range in the markets because it is basically running into this epic area of previous support, which sits here. Previous support turned into resistance. Clearly, we can see this is resistance again, guys. This is a very interesting area for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is continually struggling here. If we break through, then the altcoin season could be delayed a little bit more. But what we're seeing right now, as Bitcoin is pulling back, the other altcoin is giving us a signal. And the first signal we get before the blow up in price is shown on a chart that you may not have heard of, and it is called the Bitcoin dominance. Now, as we know, Bitcoin is the largest market cap coin in the whole crypto market. Right now, you see 48% of the entire crypto market cap is in Bitcoin. Okay, that's to be expected. And earlier on in the bull market, you will see that growth continue. Now, if you want to know what an altcoin season looks like on a Bitcoin dominance chart, it looks like this. As Bitcoin actually gets punished towards the downside. This doesn't mean that the Bitcoin price was falling. No. This meant that Bitcoin had already rallied and was starting to just take a little bit of sideways action, maybe coming down a little bit, but it meant that the rest of the altcoins were just blowing up. People were going crazy. Everyone thought they were going to be making tons and tons of money. Fake news, okay? What we can see on the dominance chart, though, is interesting. We are running into a line or an area, not a line because I hate that, an area of resistance. The reason I hate it, guys, is because you could wick up above this and then pull back down, okay? And it scares people into diving into trades they shouldn't be taking. Because right now you'd say, yeah, it's broken beyond this high. It's going for a tear. But many people are wrong, okay? This is just an area to be paying attention to. If we get a rally beyond here, then yeah, things are going to change. But what I'm seeing right now is potential that Bitcoin is going to have a pullback. Now, this is an interesting one. If Bitcoin pulls back here, and does this, this means that the altcoin season is going to be booming. And I think this is going to happen if Bitcoin continues to mess around under 30K. If, however, Bitcoin breaks beyond 30K, you're going to see this breakout, which means that we have to be a little bit more patient with our altcoins, because our altcoins will continue to be fairly static. And here we can see it all in its full glory. And no one really is looking at this side by side. But this is what you need to pay attention to. And the top, we've got Bitcoin. From this bottom, which is the same time was the Hbar bottom, right? Let's say first week of January. Bitcoin in that time has gone from there and it's pumped 76%. 76% on a market cap that is so much bigger than Hbar, right? You would have expected Hbar to grow with it because it's got a small market cap, but that's not true. Because the smart money goes into Bitcoin first, because Bitcoin is the most reliable, or at least the least risky of the crypto assets. Whether you like it or not, it might not see such amazing upside potential, but it doesn't see such brutal downside potential either, because Bitcoin is not going to zero. In my opinion, that's not financial advice. I really don't see it ever really happening. But what we're saying is Bitcoin is the more reliable asset. So what we see is we saw an Hbar rally in a similar amount of time that moved 138%. But what we saw here is very key. So after the first 1, 2, 3 weeks, we saw Hbar pumping 1 to 3 weeks, and then we saw Hbar continuing to pump while Bitcoin went sideways. This was like a tiny little altcoin season, okay? Tiny. And then what we've seen is Bitcoin kind of making an indecision area. Bitcoin makes people nervous, and people are not going to be investing in altcoins if Bitcoin's making people nervous. So we see this slide towards the downside. Bitcoin still is remaining quite strong, okay? So we saw Bitcoin continuing to remain strong, but Hbar slides towards the downside. All the smaller altcoins will slide harder down where Bitcoin is looking uncertain, because the more uncertainty, the less you want to be in risky assets, okay? But what happens if a Bitcoin breaks beyond here? We will continue to perhaps see Hbar and stuff sliding sideways until Bitcoin does a very nice pump towards like 40K. What you'll see is Bitcoin suddenly start to get sold off, and then you could well see the altcoins start to rally very aggressively. So what I'm basically saying right now is if Bitcoin continues to go sideways here, we are going to see this rally sooner than later from Hbar and Jasmy and whatever else you're looking at. But if Bitcoin breaks through, then we're going to have to wait a little bit longer in the altcoins as well. So what I'm effectively saying to you guys is if you are being bored of what is happening in Hbar, Jasmy, Quant, whatever crypto it is right now, we've got like an exciting start to the year. I know we did like 100%, 150%. Gives you this kind of like false reality that bull markets are just continuous upside, where we're waking up to massive gains every morning. There is like a time in the market when that happens, but it's not right now, okay? We are basically starting to build, but it's a slower process. Don't be so impatient. If you're impatient, you'll get wrecked. I promise you that. We need to be patient. But what we are seeing right now in Hbar is it's giving us a nice little area to pay attention to. Now, I focused on this one here for very good reasons. Now, I like to identify buy zones where we can see strong pushes. Now, what we can see in this area, we had a bit of sideways action. We pulled back and then bang. This tells me that this area where I've drawn this pink box is a buy zone for Hbar. And then I can come across and I can identify what happens every time we come back into here. We push out of it. And then guess what? We come near it. We push out of it. We are now nearly there again. If we're popping into this area, I'm looking to buy Hbar when everyone else is thinking, oh, it's going to go down here. No, okay? I believe that Hbar returns into here around 0.03534 for anyone who's paying attention. Then we're going to pop, okay? Then we will see the gains back towards this level, which is very exciting because from that level down in the red box, it's another 66%. But it doesn't necessarily matter because the upside potential is just insanely big for these cryptos. And I'm going to look at Solana, and you can see Solana basically the same, guys. It had a nice move towards the upside, and then it's corrected itself very, very aggressively. And from this correction here, all the way back to that top, you got another like 21%. And you're like, oh, Solana's not as good as Hbar. Secret, doesn't matter, okay? These cryptos are here to stay. These cryptos are going to do well. Over a longer period of time, then yes, fine. But when you get to these like pumps and stuff, they're only pumping because people are trading them, okay? They're not pumping because one's got better utility than the other, okay? That's an absolute secret, okay? Don't tell everyone. So all we're doing is we're identifying these pullback zones, and then we're going to look for opportunity. And anything pretty much in that top 50 will probably do pretty well. Now, I've talked about this in the past. Obviously, you need to go and do some research into the various tokens that we talked about. Look for the ones with some good hype, some nice looking projects that have got lots of information about them. But really, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think you need to go as deep as maybe you are going on a lot of these projects when you're looking for shorter term gains. And yes, you might be saying, I want to buy this and hold forever, and that's fine. Because if, let's say, I've just made my $1,000 back on Solana, I can take that $1,000 and I can go and invest $100 into 10 projects that might go to the moon. Might not, might go to zero. But if one of those projects goes and makes me 1,000x, then I made $100,000. Understand the cycles of the market and understand what is happening each phase, because it's really important. What we can see happening with Bitcoin right now, what we can expect to happen in the larger cap holds.